Welcome to The Explainer. So, if you're the kind of person who loves to just cut through the noise and actually understand the concepts shaping our world, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we've got a very specific goal. We're going to finally clear up all the confusion between AI, machine learning, and deep learning. And the best part? We're going to do it simply, clearly, and absolutely without you needing a computer science degree to follow along. Let's get right into it. Let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever caught yourself using the words artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning like they're just, the exact same thing? If you have, seriously, don't worry about it. Pretty much everybody does. I mean, they show up literally everywhere. In job descriptions, on the news, in everyday chats at the coffee shop. But here's the truth. They are absolutely not the same thing. And my promise to you today is that by the end of this explainer, you'll never confuse them again. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for navigating the AI universe today. First, the nesting doll concept. Second, AI, the ultimate destination. Third, machine learning, finding patterns. Fourth, deep learning, the digital brain. And finally, tying it all together. All right, starting with part 1, the nesting doll concept, circles within circles. I want you to imagine 3 circles, one inside the other. The biggest circle on the completely outside, that's artificial intelligence. Right inside that is a smaller circle, and we call that machine learning. And then, tucked inside that one is an even smaller circle, deep learning. It's exactly like Russian nesting dolls. What this really means is that machine learning is just a part of AI, and deep learning is a part of machine learning, so they aren't 3 completely separate competing tech trends. They're actually methodologies that live right inside one another. Moving on to part 2, AI, the ultimate destination. The big dream since the 1950s. So, artificial intelligence is the biggest idea here. It basically just means teaching a machine to do something that normally only a human brain can do. We're talking about solving complex problems, understanding spoken language, making decisions, or even just recognizing faces. Literally since the 1950s, scientists have been asking, hey, can we build a machine that actually thinks like a human? And that single question birthed this entire field. AI is the big overarching goal. It's the ultimate destination we're all trying to reach. What's really interesting here is how AI is already absolutely everywhere around you. These are those broad goals in action. When Siri flawlessly understands your voice command, when Gmail automatically filters out some annoying spam message before you even see it, or when Netflix recommends the exact show you want to binge on a Friday night, all of that, every single bit of it, is artificial intelligence at work. All right, let's zoom in a bit for part 3, machine learning, finding patterns, the road to the AI destination. Okay, here is the absolute simplest, most direct way to think about it. Machine learning is basically AI that learns from data. The machine figures out patterns entirely by itself without a human sitting there manually programming every single rule. The absolute key word here is data. Instead of giving the computer really strict, rigid instructions, we're just tossing it a bunch of examples and saying, hey, figure the rest out on your own. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive shift in how we approach computing nowadays. Just look at the old way versus the new way. In traditional programming, you'd have to tell the computer every single rule. Like for spam filter, you'd code, okay, if the email has the word free in all caps, mark it as spam. If it says winner, mark as spam. You'd end up writing hundreds, maybe thousands of exhausting rules by hand. And the second spammers get clever and change their wording, boom, your whole system totally breaks. But with machine learning, you don't do that. You just show the computer, say, 1 million emails. You label some spam and some not spam. And the computer just figures out the patterns completely by itself. It's a real game changer. So the absolutely crucial point here is that machine learning needs data. The more data you feed it, the smarter it gets. And you definitely see this data-driven approach in action every single day. Like when Spotify curates your Discover Weekly playlist, that's machine learning studying your listening habits. When Amazon suggests customers also bought this, it's just finding patterns in millions of past purchases. Or when your bank flags a suspicious transaction, it's because the system noticed a really unusual pattern compared to your normal everyday spending behavior. Now let's zoom all the way into part 4, deep learning, the digital brain. This is the innermost superpower. Deep learning is a really specific, highly advanced type of machine learning, and it relies on something called an artificial neural network. Think about your own brain for a second. You have billions of neurons, right? Little cells that connect and fire whenever you learn something new. Well, deep learning mimics this completely with a digital structure. It uses layers and layers of connected nodes that act basically like digital brain cells. And when we say deep learning, that deep literally refers to the hundreds of deep stacked layers inside the model itself. But, there is a pretty big trade-off here. Because of these incredibly complex, brain-like layers, deep learning requires absolutely massive amounts of data and some seriously powerful computers to train. Actually, this is exactly why deep learning has only truly become powerful and mainstream in the last, say, 10 to 15 years. It literally took us that long just to gather enough raw data and build enough computing power to make these digital brains actually work.
Because it has that insane, complex structure, deep learning just completely excels at incredibly difficult tasks that regular machine learning kind of struggles with. These are its true superpowers. Think about recognizing a specific face in a photo, like Apple's Face ID. That's deep learning. A machine genuinely understanding all the weird nuances of spoken human language, deep learning. And a self-driving car being able to visually see the road, spot pedestrians, and weave through traffic. No way traditional programming could do that. That is deep learning in action, for sure. Finally, let's move to part 5 and see how this all builds, tying it all together, the complete picture. This matrix beautifully summarizes everything we've just covered. Let's walk through it. AI is that big overarching goal, using any technique, and it gives us things like Siri or Alexa. Machine learning is the specific method to achieve AI. It learns from data, it desperately needs good data, and it powers your spam filters and recommendations. And deep learning? Well, that's the most powerful type of ML. It relies on brain-like neural networks, needs huge amounts of data, plus massive computer power, and it drives all this sci-fi stuff like Face ID and self-driving cars. So if you want a really simple memory trick to take away today, AI is the concept, machine learning is the method, and deep learning is the superpower. So the crucial point is how all three of these actually work together at the exact same time. And honestly, ChatGPT is the absolute perfect example of this. Is ChatGPT AI? Well, yeah, it's the broad category because it's having intelligent, human-like conversations with us. But does it use machine learning? Yep, that's the method. It was trained on billions of texts just to learn data patterns. And does it use deep learning? Absolutely. That's the specific technique it's built on. It uses a massive 100-plus layer artificial neural network, specifically called a transformer, to actually generate that language. It's the whole shebang. It literally is all three nesting dolls working at once. To wrap this all up with one final punchy summary, AI is the big idea, machines that can think. Machine learning is the data method, teaching those machines by giving them examples rather than rules. And deep learning is the brain-like network, taking that learning to a whole new level using layers inspired by the actual human brain. Boom. Now you know the real difference. I'd love to hear from you on this. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these three terms used to confuse you the most before you watch this explainer. We've mapped out the entire universe of AI today, but I think it begs an even bigger, kind of provocative question for our next exploration. How does AI actually work on the inside? Like, what is the real science behind those digital brains? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack next time. Until then, keep learning, stay curious, and I will see you in the next explainer.